Is there something to be said for going against, you know, if it was a parent suggesting it, like being pushed into medical school or something like that, is there a thing against choosing something you're happy with in the first place, or do you still think developing it's worthwhile?
Yeah, and this is really important because major switching was actually the very first exposure I had to sort of passion and follow your passion. It was the seed that was planted that led to that book eventually, So Good They Can't Ignore You. Because what I was observing, one of the things I was observing is people were switching their majors a lot. And it felt very disastrous to me because they would switch their majors usually in their third year of university. It's like, why is everyone switching their majors? Like, it's a real problem, right? Because you don't really have enough courses. It made things very difficult, right? Actually, the issue there was they had two ingrained. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to caveat the word passion here, because they had actually two ingrained this idea of intrinsic passion. And so they were applying this to majors and saying, okay, if I chose a major that matches my passion, I should enjoy it. So what happens when you get to your third year of university? You're done with the intro courses, you're in the upper level courses, they're hard. Hard stuff's not enjoyable, right? And that would freak them out. And they say, oh, this must not be my passion, so let me switch majors, right? The feeling of discomfort threw them off because they had this mental model of you're wired to do one thing. If you're doing it, you will just always feel this real motivation for it. So it was actually an application of passion thinking causing trouble. So I'm going to caveat that what I'm really arguing for, it's not so much to get away from this notion like you're wired for a particular major. And the way you'll know that you chose the right thing to study is that like you'll feel really good. And if you chose the wrong thing, it'll feel hard and you won't want to do it or something. You got to get rid of that mental model. And instead, what we're doing with intrinsic, extrinsic motivation hacking is it's not that there's one thing you're supposed to do. It's not a wrong major or a right major. There's a wrong motivation and a right motivation. So you're actually right. It is, you need to feel as if you are the autonomous author of what it is you study. And it could end up being the same thing your parents want you to study, but you have to get there on your own. That's what matters, especially at that early level, because 19-year-olds are not wired for a particular liberal arts major that happens to be available. There's no genetic marker that pushes us towards mathematics versus economics versus English. That's not really the issue here. It's motivation. If you feel like I want to make this a part of my life, I've chosen to go in it, I know it's going to be hard, I'm surrounding myself with it, I'm reading books about it, I'm going talks to it, I love the challenge of trying to develop this intellectual expertise. I don't know if you're wired for that or not, but if you have that right motivation, you're going to be much more successful than if you come into it with, I don't know, my parents want me to be a doctor, so I guess I'll do pre-med, right? So I don't know if that distinction makes sense, but I think it's an important one, especially that early in your life with such little experience. Shift from passion to psychology, really. That's probably the right mental model.
No, I think that's fantastic. And then linking on to that, just in careers, again, in our space, we see quite a lot of love what you do, find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel that people hit that brick wall again with that, where they've romanticized the idea of what this is going to be like. I mean, what's your thoughts on, is there something you could work in and not feel like you've got something hard to do or work a day? Like, does that exist?
Work is going to be hard, almost by definition. You will occasionally get into a flow state, and that's great when you do, but flow states are rare. Flow states tend to be more in a performative state than in a skill acquisition state. So at some points when you're applying your skill, you could fall into a flow state, but actually a lot of what you do in work is actually building skills or honing skills or trying to make decisions, none of which is going to put you in a flow state that's pleasant. So I think it's really important to understand, work is work. It's often going to feel hard. So what matters is, and this is maybe the right way to think about passion from the psychological perspective, is you're motivated to keep going. Lifting weights, heavy weights is hard, but if you're a professional athlete, you don't read it as hard in the sense of, I wish I wasn't doing this. You read it as, I love the burn I'm feeling because it means I'm going after the thing that I care about. This burn means my muscle's going to get bigger and I'm going to throw that fastball faster. That's the mindset we want in work. Like, this is hard. I have to master this new whatever skill. I have to master this new software so we can produce this better video or something like this. You're like, that's hard in the moment, but I like this hardness because it's part of this vision I have for building this particular artistic vision. And so I'm glad that it's hardness that provides satisfaction. So I do not like slogans like, follow your passion, never work a day in your life. I think instead Your goal is to build a working life that you can pursue with passion. That can be a source of passion, can be a source of meaning, can be a source of resilience. And this is something that is a multi-year project, if not a lifetime project. It's about how you approach your work, not how you find your work. This is the way you should think about it. And so don't conceive of yourself as being wired to do this job. And if you match that job, you're set. Conceive of yourself as you're trying to build this masterwork that is your professional life, and you're building it on the fly, as you live. And it's going to be hard and wonderful and rewarding, and over time get better and more nuanced and more resilient. But it's all about focusing on things you think that matter, doing them really well, taking that skill, the leverage that gives you, and saying what comes next and apply it. And then repeat, constantly driving the structure you're building on the fly towards places that resonate and away from things that don't. Some days are going to be harder than others. Some places are going to come easier than others. Some things are going to be more successful than others. But over time, this is going to take you somewhere worth going.